Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Hampstead Garden Suburb Synagogue for this Shabbat of Chayei. This week has been a terrible week for Klal Yisrael. For the entire world, in fact, we have lost one of the greatest leaders, if not the greatest leader of the Jewish people of our generation, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, of blessed memory. A lot this week has been discussed about Rabbi Sacks as the chief rabbi of this country, but in fact, Rabbi Sacks was not only the chief rabbi of this country, but the chief rabbi of the Commonwealth. It was in that capacity that I first met Rabbi Lord Sacks. It was 1997, 1998, and I was serving as a rabbi of Newtown Synagogue, Sydney, Australia. He was on a tour of the Commonwealth, and he addressed the Rabbinical Council of New South Wales. It was a speech that I will never forget, and I'm going to ask you to indulge me just a little, because the week that he came was not this week, but it was the reading that we will officially read tomorrow afternoon. Shabbat afternoon, we read the reading of the week going forward, and it was Toldot that he expounded. He was asked, what are the main roles of a rabbi? He said there are three main roles of the rabbi. I'm not going to share with you the entire drasha, the first two, but the third one was the most powerful, and it appears in tomorrow afternoon's reading. Let me recap tomorrow afternoon's reading. We have Yitzchak and Rivka, Isaac and Rebecca, who are unable to have children. Finally, after davening at great length, they are finally blessed with conception. And yet Rivka feels that not everything is right. Her tummy is not in sync. She goes off Vatelech lidrosh et Hashem. She goes to ask God, the Navi, the prophet, what's going on inside? And he says, you have two nations inside your midst, two twins that are going to constantly be battling one another, each one wanting to overcome the other. But finally, what you need to know is V'rav ya'avod tza'ir. The greater will serve the younger. Now, of course, literally, this refers to Esav and Yaakov. Esav is born first. Esav becomes the older one. But we, as the descendants of Yaakov, of Jacob, we hope that we will be the heirs to the tradition of Yitzchak and Rivka, of Abraham and Sarah, and that ultimately all of our efforts will pay off, V'rav ya'avod tza'ir, and that the older one, Esav, will serve the younger one, will look up to us, and that's certainly the entire world, Jew and non-Jew, looked up to Rabbi Sacks, V'rav ya'avod tza'ir. We may have come from the younger one, but the entire world recognized the greatness of Rabbi Sacks. But listen to what Rabbi Sacks said in that meeting. V'rav ya'avod tza'ir, he says the most important role of the rabbi, V'rav ya'avod tza'ir, the rabbi should serve the youth. Of all of the lofty concepts he could have discussed, the most important role, he says, is the rabbi should serve the youth. Now, a cutesy idea based on a non-literal reading of the verse, but an idea that stayed with me throughout my life thus far. What's so important about it? What's so special about it? Listening to rabbis this week, earlier this week, Chief Rabbi Mervis, may he live till 120, convened a gathering of rabbis here in the UK and abroad, and offered them a forum to be able to discuss the ideas of Rabbi Sacks and what he meant to all of us personally. And what came up time and time again was that Rabbi Sacks wanted to know, what are we doing? What are we local rabbis doing for the youth, for the children? That was so important to him. So this was not just something that he said, it was something that was constantly on his mind, V'rav ya'avod tza'ir, that the rabbi should be there for the youth. We know most recently, He took his lofty ideas in covenant conversation and translated them to a family covenant and conversation. Ideas that we could discuss around the Shabbat table, knowing that it's about the children, it's about future generations. On many levels, he brought it down to a level that even children could understand with some of his video scribbles. And just a couple of years ago, when he asked his viewers to send in questions, one of our dear friends, Sammy Light in Edmonton, sent in a question. And to watch Rabbi Sacks sitting there and say, "So Sammy, this is your question, and this is how I would like to respond to you," for 5-year-old Sammy Light. But I believe his message ran far deeper than a literal youth, a literal tsa'ir on the age per one's birth certificate. Rabbi Sacks was all about bringing Torah down from a lofty level, lofty concept. And for him, Torah wasn't only defined by the 5 books of Moses or the Talmud or the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law. For him, Torah was all-encompassing. For him, he viewed the world like Maimonides, like so many other of our great centrist modern Orthodox thinkers. He viewed all wisdom as part and parcel of the Torah's message, and he was able to bring down those great philosophical ideas from Torah and beyond to the average person, to make it accessible. For Rav Yavod Tza'ir, that the rabbi should serve the youth, to him meant that those who understand great concepts, great spiritual concepts, great philosophical concepts, should be able to convey those concepts to those who are not as far along on their spiritual journey, on their philosophical journey, but recognizing that the same information is accessible to everyone and should be made accessible to everyone, and that it's our duty to make Torah relevant, meaningful, modern, eternal, to take the package and show that no matter where we are in life, we should be able to open up the books of yore and have it meaningful and relevant to me today. From the beginning of his chief rabbinate, when he introduced a decade of renewal, when he recognized that we need to be able to refresh ourselves and take the Torah and take the tradition and be able to make something of it to us today. His final book that has been published just a couple of months ago is Judaism's Life-Changing Ideas. Now, to be honest, when I first opened the book, I was a little disappointed. It seemed there were many ideas that he had discussed in the past, and it just wasn't running as deep as some of his former concepts. I thought, okay, interesting, but now I understand. Now I understand. Rabbi Sacks is known for some time now that he wasn't well. He asked himself, what will be my last will and testament to the people? What is going to be those last words that I write, my own eulogy? I believe that Judaism's life-changing ideas was his own self-authored eulogy. These were the messages, the succinct, distilled messages that he wanted to pass on to our entire generation for generations to come. In the next few days, we're going to announce a number of ways that we're going to be paying tribute to Rabbi Sacks as a Norrisley community, from monthly forums to weekly forums. One of those will be a commitment to studying Judaism's life-changing ideas. Let his memory be a blessing, and may we all learn from the teachings of Rabbi Sacks for many generations to come. May he be a good better, a Melitz Yosha, good advocate for his family, for Anglo Jewry, for Commonwealth Jewry, and indeed for the entire world. Shabbat Shalom.